Hey Divi Nation, thanks for joining us for day 61 of the Divi 100 Marathon. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 different ways that you can style Divi's email opt-in module. These designs are among the most common and effective email opt-in designs that you will find around the web, and they're all possible with Divi. So if you'd like to follow along with me as I create each of these email opt-in designs, you're going to find all of the code snippets and step-by-step instructions for each design in the accompanying blog post, which is linked to in the video description below. All right, let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to style Divi's email opt-in module in 5 different ways. So as you can see here in this sample post I've created here, we begin with the default email opt-in form. This is just more or less what it looks like when you load it up and don't do anything to it. Just put some sample text in. And below it here, we have 5 different examples of how we've styled it, and we think it might look good in these ways on different people's websites, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so let's go up to the first one here. And we call this the overlapping section email opt-in form. And as you can see, there's 2 sections here, top and bottom, and we've got the email opt-in form straddling the both to get this nice horizontal split screen effect. Let's take a look on the back end and see how we achieve this look. As you can see, we are working with 2 sections here. The top section is 1 section, 1 row with 1 image module, and the bottom section is 1 section, 1 row with 3 columns and an email opt-in module in the middle. Now what we're going to do is, starting up here at the top section, I'm going to work in from section to row to module and just walk through the settings that we've used to achieve the look that we have on the front end. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so in the general settings tab for our section module settings, basically all that we've done here is we've entered in a background color and we've set the custom padding value for all of our options here to 0. And if you're interested in getting the exact version of what we've done here, in the accompanying blog post, we have all of the hex codes and step-by-step screenshots included. So if I go through this a little too fast for you and you want me to slow down, or you want to follow along maybe at a more leisurely pace, you can always click through in the show notes to the blog post with those instructions there. They won't move along as fast as this is. So, all right, so I don't believe there's anything in the custom CSS, so we can close out of this. If you were doing this, you'd probably want to save and exit, but since I have everything set, I'm just going to exit. And let's jump into the row settings. Okay, so here in the row module settings, we have custom padding. Again, everything's set to 0. Don't believe anything in the advanced design settings, and again, nothing in custom CSS. So for the row, just set the custom padding to 0 and you can move on. All right, then we have our image module, and here in the image module, obviously we have our image, which spans the entire width of the section. If we jump over to the advanced design settings, we have the bottom margin set to 0, and that's pretty important because that's going to make sure it's moved all the way to the bottom of its container. And nothing in the CSS. So the 2 things here are obviously load your image up, and under advanced design settings, set it to 0. Okay. Now we're going to jump down to the second section, the one that contains our email opt-in form, and we're going to go to the section settings. Once again, we have the background color, and it's actually the color of the guy's shirt in the photo. And again, you can get that hex code in the blog post as well. And so that's all you really need to do in the section settings, set the background color. In the row settings, I want to make this row full width, and we're done with our row settings. Okay, so now let's jump into the email opt-in form and the settings that we used here. So this will include all of our design settings, etc. So we have this stuff. We're not really getting into this since we're talking strictly about styling, but just as kind of a by note here, obviously you can choose your service provider and select the list that you want for any of your email opt-in forms. Okay, so we've got our copy in here. We've decided to use background color of white. We have our text color set to light, but I think in the advanced design settings, we override that. So let's jump into those. All right, advanced design settings. When we come down here to header font, we keep it a default, but we set it to bold, move our header font size up a bit. It's up to 26. Our header text color is the same as our section background. And again, that was, we pulled the whole palette for this form from the image that we used. We kind of used those colors to create a balance effect. We keep moving down here. The body font color, the body font, again, keep it at default, go to bold, move the body font down a bit, down to 14. Text color, again, pulled from the image, and you can get this hex code in the post. And here's where the sort of magic happens. So custom margin. Custom margin is important because this is where we get the overlap effect. So the top margin here, by setting that to -300, what we're doing is we're moving that up. So when it's negative, it's like it's being pulled up. So we have the top margin set to negative, and everything else in the padding is set to 10%. And then of course we have custom button style. So we have our button styles here, text size 16, button color white. Sorry, button text color white. Button background color is this nice sort of turquoise. And we have that set to bold, icon set to no. And let's jump over to the custom CSS tab. All right, so there are two sections here that require some custom CSS. Main element, you are adding a box shadow and a border. And again, this code is in the accompanying blog post. It's kind of hard to get it off the screen or to read it out to you. So I will let you go to the link and grab this code. You can copy and paste it quite easily. When we go down to newsletter fields, you're going to be adding code for the background color and the color. And again, this code is available in the blog post. When that's entered in there, go ahead and save and exit. And you'll be able to view the result. And here we go. All right, so let's move on down to our second design here. And we call this the profile email opt-in design. And that's just because we have a sort of profile picture right here to accompany it. I thought this was a particularly good design if you're maybe an authority blogger or someone who very much has a personal brand. This is going to be a great style form to maybe have in your sidebar and keep your image associated with your brand. Okay, so let's jump to the back end and take a look at how we created this. All right, so one section, one row, there's 3 columns and 2 modules. On the top here, we have an image module, and below we have the email opt-in module. So what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to disable the image module because I want you to see how we have these 2 modules working together to make the appearance of a single form, even though they're separate. So let's check out the email opt-in. And I'm just going to preview this real quick because we already have all the settings in. So you can see in this preview, it just looks like we have just the form here. And then if we enable this, we can preview again and we'll have them together. So real quickly, I'll walk you through the form and then we'll talk about the image and how you can make that sort of illusion work for you. Okay, so the form we have here, on the general settings tab, you just need to set your background color. And the background color is going to be something that you will match up with an element in your image. So I'll talk about that in a moment here. Okay, in advanced design settings, we have our header font set to bold in all caps, header font size to 18. Moving on down, our body font is default with bold, font size is 14. We have our text color set to a nice turquoise here or light blue. And here is where we get into a bit of what makes this work so well. So our custom margin is 0, and that's important because we want it to bump right up against the bottom of the element that's above it, which is our image module. And custom padding, we have 69, and that's going to create a little space up top above the title text. And again, these are just, I mean, you can change any of these colors, so I'm not going to dwell too long on these because you're going to be able to change those for whatever specific design you're going for. But the important stuff are things like this custom margin and padding. Let's jump into the custom CSS, just check that real quick. Nothing here. Okay, so let's move on to the image module. So the image module, here you go. You see right away why this works the way it works. We've got a PNG image with a transparent background up top, and below it, we've inserted a bit of blue box that uses the same blue as our form, and we're gonna align this using custom margin in our advanced design settings. So you want to set your bottom margin. Again, anytime you use a negative margin, what it's going to do is sort of like pull elements in that direction. So the bottom, if you do a negative, instead of creating space between things, it's going to pull it down. And that's how you get these two elements kind of connecting together there at the top and bottom. And nothing there. So that's it for that design. So you'll want to save and exit, update your page, and view the results on the front end. You should have this as a nice result. And just to show you again, that's a separate image, but it looks great together, very seamless, and it'll work great, like I said, in a sidebar or something. All right, moving on. Next we have design number 3. This is the skinny opt-in form, and I think this is really popular. A lot of times people will have up top here like their home page header section, and then they have their body section down here, and they just want to slide this small opt-in form in between the two to try to capture some emails before people get to the fold, which I think is a great idea. So let's take a look at how we create it on the back end in Divi. Okay, so here we are. It's just one section, one row, and one module. And let me just quickly run through here. We have our section, which is going to, we need to set the background color, and that's going to be essentially our form background color because it's going to be a single strip running all the way across the website. And we have custom padding. Top section is 40, bottom section is 20. You can always play with these numbers to get them right for you, but that was just what we used to achieve the right bit of space in between there. And there's nothing on custom CSS for the section, so let's jump to the row. All right, so getting to the row settings here, and all we really have in the general settings, we have custom padding set to 0 all the way across the board. Nothing in our advanced design settings. And one bit of CSS in our custom CSS tab, and that's in the text box labeled column main element. And we just want to enter in text align center. And again, you can find this very easily in the blog post accompanying this video. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. Let's go to the email opt-in. So this one has a lot of custom CSS. It's actually a lot. It's just a lot of different elements to it. So everything's pretty standard here on general settings, more or less the way it comes. But then we get back here and we want to set our custom margin in advanced design settings and our custom padding to 0 all the way across the board on both of those. We have our custom styles activated for the button, and we've got the text set to 16, button text color to white. Got this blue background here. Okay, so now let's get to the good stuff. Let's go to the CSS tab. This is where all of the real changes happen in this design example. All right, so the first thing you want to do is add a CSS class, and we used horizontal -opt-in, all lowercase. And we're going to come back to that because we need to add some CSS in the page settings for this CSS class. So we'll come back to that. But all the sections that require little bits of code are as follows. In the main element, you're going to put display, and that's going to be an inline block. Down here at newsletter description, again, display inline block. You're going to set your width to auto and your top margin to -20. Now we're going to come down to the newsletter form. Width is going to be set to auto, display inline block. When we come down to newsletter fields, display inline block, width auto, margin left 30. And newsletter button. Again, display inline block, width auto, margin left 30. So again, you can get all of these snippets in the blog post. When you're done, go ahead and save and exit, but we're not done yet. Not completely. You want to scroll up here to the builder page section, or page settings rather. And here we have another custom CSS box. And this is where you can put CSS that only affects things on this page, which is a great way to isolate your styles. So we create a class called horizontal opt-in, and we want to add display inline block. Once again, all these snippets in the accompanying blog posts, so you can quickly copy and paste them if you're trying to duplicate this. Save that when you're done. And as always, view it on the front end, see what you got. You should have something that looks very much like this. Okay, moving on to our fourth design. Here we have a design that I just call the Big Bold Optin, and I wanted something that more or less took up an entire row or an entire section even, and just functioned as a big form that was actually made up of multiple elements. So the form background in our example here is actually the row background. Then we have our email opt-in module on the left and an image module on the right. On your website, whenever you're doing this for yourself, you might want to replace this image with something else, like a freebie or some type of enticement, a product image, whatever it is that you're trying to use to kind of as a carrot to get people to sign up. For our purposes, for an example, we just wanted to show that you could put content here of any kind. Okay, so let's jump to the back end and take a look at how this works. Scroll down here to our sections. Okay, so this design consists of one section, one row, and two columns, each with a module in it. The email opt-in on the left and image module on the right. Real quickly, let's run through our settings. I don't believe there's anything in the section settings. Nope. Row. Okay, so we wanted to make our row under general settings, full width. Custom padding of 60 pixels on all sides. We go to advanced design settings. We have a background image, and that's the kind of textured blue image you saw on the front side. And we're using that as a nice subtle way to add some texture, some life to the background without being too distracting. And on your CSS tab, just make sure there's nothing else down there. Okay, CSS tab on your main element, go to add border radius 5 pixel, and that's going to create just that little curvature at the edges to make it look box-like and not necessarily like it's just an image filling a background. Okay, let's jump into the email opt-in settings. All right, so under general settings, pretty standard. Advanced design settings, we've got our header font bold. We've set our header font size to 32. Body font is bold. And we've used some custom styles on our button, very much the same as we have with our other designs. Again, this email opt-in is pretty standard, but what makes it is the fact that we're using multiple things together on the page to create a form instead of just the email opt-in form. And I don't believe there's any, oh, there is a little bit of CSS. So on the custom CSS tab, again, this is available in the blog post. So you're going to want to, under newsletter fields, make some font adjustments. So you're going to adjust the font size to 12 pixels, font weight to bold, text transform uppercase, and color black. All right, cool. So when that's done, go ahead and save it. And let's jump over to the image module. All right, here is, I mean, this is really standard. We just upload an image. All right, advanced design settings. We want to have it set to always center on mobile. Up here, we've entered in a image max width of 300 pixels, and that just kind of assures that it stays in its little area that we want it. You can adjust that to fit however you like on your form whenever you create it. And there's nothing in the custom CSS tab. Again, like I said, pretty straightforward. And that is it. When you save and exit that, you'll update your page. And when you go to the front side, you should have something looking very much like this. All right, now let's go to our final design. So this email opt-in, I called this the irregularly shaped form. And the idea here was very simple. I just wanted to prove and show that it's possible to really kind of think outside the box, if you don't mind the pun, and get creative with really simple stuff like margins and padding values to create cool shapes or just interesting shapes that might catch the eye. So you may not want this particular bullet shape, but there are a lot of different shapes that you can create when you experiment around. So let's take a look at the back end at how we achieve this, and maybe it'll spark some ideas for different shapes that you could achieve. Okay. This design consists of one section, one row with 3 columns, and 1 module. There are no section or row settings on this one. So let's just jump straight into the module settings. Okay, everything's pretty straightforward, pretty standard on the general side, general settings tab. Let's jump over to the advanced. And basically here, we've just adjusted some color values. We have the form field background color set to a bit of black with transparency or gray with transparency. We've set our form field text color and our header text color. We've made our header font bold, adjusted the font size. So these are all things that you can do and play with. I mean, this is really straightforward. You know, and most likely when you're doing your specific design, you won't want an exact duplicate. You'll want to play around with these values until you get them looking the way you want to. So let's talk about the values that are important, the custom margin and custom padding values down here. So we left the margin alone this time around, but we did something interesting with the custom padding. And that is that we added 20% to everything but the bottom, and at the bottom we did 100 pixels. And so what that does is that's what creates that sort of bullet curve. And you can play around with these to get all kinds of different variations on that. It can be kind of fun. Then we have our button styles. We've got that red button, and what we did to get it so oval shaped was we cranked the border radius all the way up to 100%. All right, so there's still a bit more we got to do. Let's go to the custom CSS tab. And just in the main element box, there's 2 little bits of code that we need to put in. Our border radius, and we're going to have a value of 20 pixels, 20 pixels, 100%, 100%. Again, some interesting stuff happening with the mixture of percentages and pixel values. And then a border top value of 5 pixels, set it to solid, and we have that red color code right here. Again, you can get that in the blog post. When you're done with this, go ahead and save and exit. Go to the front end, and there you have it. That's an irregularly shaped form. So just to review, so we were able to get 5 different unique designs, starting with this default opt-in form. And I think we got quite a bit of variety here, quite a few different variations, and there are countless other variations that we could achieve if we had more time. And there you have it. Those are 5 different ways that you can style Divi's email opt-in module. We hope that you're enjoying the Divi 100 Marathon, and we look forward to sharing many more Divi tips and tricks throughout the series. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and email newsletter so you never miss a thing. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.
Hello and welcome to day 48 of our Divi 100 Marathon. When it comes to designing websites, sometimes it can be difficult to design your website from scratch. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you step by step how to build your pages using the predefined layouts that come pre-installed with Divi.